Yeah. The Runnemede Board of Education meeting is called to order. The Board of Education is in compliance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975 entitled the Open Public Meetings Act. The time, date, and location of this meeting was appropriately advertised by notifying the retrospect as well as posting notices in the Borough Hall, Runnemede Post Office, Mary Vold School, Alliant Bingham School, Grace Downing School, and the Runnemede Public School District website. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, board members.
Ms. Adair?
Here.
Ms. Anderson?
Here.
Ms. Beebe?
Here.
Mr. Buckon? Present. Ms. Davidson?
Here.
Ms. Farry?
Here.
Mr. Impagliazzo? Ms. Panzarella?
Here.
Ms. Spalding?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Also present, Mark Iannucci, Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Sean McCarron, Business Administrator, Supervisor of Curriculum Instruction, Mrs. Jade Yezzi, Principal, Bingham Downing Schools, Mr. Phil Silva, Vice Principal, Mary Vold School, Ms. Gladys Hubbard, Child Study Team Supervisor, and Mr. Frank Hines, Supervisor of Building and Grounds. At this time, I need a motion to approve items, the minutes for the regular session and the executive session on February 24th,
I make a
2016.
motion to approve both the regular and executive.
I'll second.
Motion made by Maria, my bad, I'm sorry, was that Naomi for a second?
No, maybe.
Patty, sorry Patty.
It's okay.
I think I did that to you last month, then. Roll call.
Ms. Adair?
Yes.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Beebe?
Yes.
Mr. Buckon?
Yes.
Ms. Davidson?
Yes.
Ms. Farry?
Abstain.
Ms. Panzarella?
Yes.
Ms. Spalding?
Yes.
Motion passes.
At this time, I need a motion to approve the financial report period ending February 2016.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Chaz, second by Maria. Any questions? Roll call.
Ms. Adair?
Yes.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Beebe?
Yes.
Mr. Buckon?
Yes.
Ms. Davidson?
Yes.
Ms. Farry?
Yes.
Ms. Panzarella?
Yes.
Ms. Spalding?
Yes. At this time, we have a Volts Technology Budget presentation by Mrs. Maytag.
Oh no, it's two separate presentations.
Where are we at? Well, it doesn't
Volts
say.
Budget presentation. She wants to do
You're on
that.
She's trying to get you up. Well, I'm sorry, Dr. McCarron, but your agenda wasn't clear. My bad. Sorry, Mr. Bernard.
All right, we have Mrs. Maytag and Mr. Benoit. They're here to tell us about some of the amazing things their students are doing in their class. I can tell you, I've been in there a few times, and kids are going from coding to doing video game controls using paper and Jello. So they're here to tell you a little bit more about it.
Yeah, our board meeting is asleep, so give us 10 seconds here.
Mr. Maytag was in Disney with me too,
Yes,
so
he was,
thank you
for
for
an
letting
entire
me be your husband for a week. I appreciate it.
Yes, no problem. So he was posting more pictures and
I know, we took a
videos.
couple of selfies. We did. We were using technology when we found
That's good.
All right, we're gonna get this thing started.
Here to see the fourth and fifth grade first. This is a design project we're working on. This was the first stage where they're actually designing in Google Drawings themselves, where they're building their car. It's a wind power car that they're working on with materials that they had. Oh, totally off. That's okay. That they had available to them. They moved from there, taking their design over to the actual building, which we did out in the library, where they were creating, and then they had to kind of design on the fly. So taking that design and saying, okay, this isn't working, what can we do instead? And making changes to their designs in the creation process. You see they're all working in their little groups. Did a great job. They really did a nice job coming together. They love being on video. So they had a lot of materials that we provided that we've collected over the past year, and then some of them wanted to bring in things. I tried to encourage them just to use what they had available to them, which most of them did. They did a great job. And then finally we moved to the testing phase where they took their wind power cars and we did 2 different trials, and they kind of, again, made some adjustments between the 2 different trials, making a decision like what works better, what doesn't work better. And then the end product coming where they're actually writing a paper right now explaining the whole design process, the changes that they made along the way, and their thought process behind it, why they made the decisions that they made.
So what you're about to see now are controllers that students actually made for our computers here at school. So you stuck your hand into those piles of Jell-O, and it made something happen on the screen. Same thing with these lead drawings here. If you touch the lead drawing, it made something happen on the screen. These girls here actually used cake as their controller. It's phenomenal. Here's some wearable technology. They stuck their hand in a tissue box and made it work like that. They were playing in, I believe, Frogger up there with their homemade controllers there. Some of the things that we've been doing a lot is 3D printing, and you're just going to see some 3D prints that our students have designed using Tinkercad. There's the Starship Enterprise, there one. This was something in support of language arts, as was the bird here. They were for Edgar Allan Poe. This is a science piece here, Long's oxygen. This is my favorite. It's cuneiform writing, like the ancient Sumerians would have done. All right, and then you have an AT-AT because, of course, you have to have that. And one of the girls in my 8th grade class actually broke one of my toys in the room. They fixed it with a 3D print. It was awesome. This was done by one of our 6th graders. They coded their own Flappy Bird game. And I'm sorry about my terrible play at first, but with the 3rd try here, check that out. There we go. And now they're coding everything. So the amount that thing moves, the way the pipes change. This is another Star Wars inspired thing here. One of our 6th graders also made this, and I'm playing as C-3PO there. Had to get the puffer pigs, but the stormtrooper got me. And this is just the last piece with the controller. And that was a little quick, but you know. So we're doing a lot of new things in our technology rooms. We are attempting as best we can to make it more than just a simple computers class. You know, 21st century skills, maker spaces, everything we can to give the students as much as they can and as much as we can and challenge them in new different ways.
Thank you.
And if you guys have any
Does
questions.
anybody have any questions?
All right.
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
coming out this evening. We really appreciate
There's
it.
a whole bunch of 3D prints on display in front of the main office if you guys have a chance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thanks, Lisa. Thanks, Steve.
Oh, I see it now. See, like, I was reading one. He's going, look at me. Is she rolling his eyes? I can't see
He's
it.
got some extra time. Just saying, Mr. Tosh. Just throwing it out there. Listen, go in.
Go catch him.
I think he might want to do it. I'm gonna go ask him.
But I mean, like, you know, the agreements.
Yep, that was it. Not yet.
Okay, hi everyone, how are you? Last month I given to all board members just an outline of the budget presentation for 16-17. The process for the budget is that we go into budget development currently, and then March 15th is when I do a budget presentation, which is this evening. Tonight, the board will be approving that I'm able to submit the budget to the County Department of Education, to the business administrator for approval at that level. Once we get their approval, that'll be prior to the next board meeting in April. At April's board meeting, we will hold our public hearing where we will go over the same presentation. If there's any changes that are discussed this evening, those changes will be made in the budget presentation that's given at the public hearing. So this presentation is a preliminary of what we're looking at for the 16-17 school year. So just to give you an idea of the budget timeline and development process, In October, so as soon as we start the school year off, we actually start talking about the following school year's budget and how we're gonna develop that budget. So we meet with all the administrators to identify what budget needs we can already identify and what processes are gonna be in place to make sure that we're able to disseminate that information to staff. Between October and December, building principals send information out to their departments and their staff, asking for their needs and their wants. So it's kind of like a wish list that staff members bring in, so that way we can kind of get an idea at the classroom level, what we feel is needed. Are there additional resources that are needed? Are new desks needed, chairs, whatever it might be in a classroom, a new whiteboard, whatever it might be. We need to know that information so we can budget appropriately. In January, the principals and department chairs submit their budgets to Mark and myself for our review and development for the following year's budget. In February, I begin to construct the budget and determine what financial impact it would have on the district and whether or not it fits all the mandates that are required of us as a public school district to run our budget effectively. During that time, at February's meeting, I provide the board with a tentative budget for their review. So I show them what money we're anticipating to come in, what revenues we have, and then what appropriations do we see going out for the following year. In March, we do the tentative budget presentation, which is what we're doing right now. And then by the end of this month, I'll be submitting to the county office for their final approval. So the county superintendent, the county business administrator, the county educational specialist will look through the entire budget and make sure that it's sound from a financial standpoint, it's sound from a process and procedure standpoint at the superintendent level, and then also that it's sound from an educational standpoint, that every mandate we say we're implementing or every new program we have lines up to a budget line within our school budget that we're presenting. April 27th, which is the next regular board meeting that we have, it will also be the public hearing where we will go over this again if there's any changes. The changes that were made between now and that time will be presented, and then the board will provide their final approval for the budget for the 16-17 school year. Considerations that we take into when developing the budget is we look at our school and district educational goals, community support and feedback that we're hearing back regarding programs, our current enrollment, anticipated revenue, what money do we have coming into the district, mandated regulations that we have to put into place, and then whatever upcoming costs or needs, whether that be out-of-district placements, new programs, new curriculums, all that stuff has to be considered. Looking at enrollment, are we good with class sizes? Does anything need to be adjusted? Do we need to format a new classroom? All those things have to be considered when developing the budget. District goals. So number one, utilize data to review and revise current curriculums to meet student needs. CUSAC approved all curriculums as being current and up to date. So from 2013 to now, we actually just went through our CUSAC review. It was a full two-day review where members from the Department of Education come in and they review all aspects of the district and how we're operating currently. So CUSAC has approved all of our curriculums as being current and up to date at this time. Number two, continue with the Chromebook initiative in grades 5 to 8, which is what we're currently serving. Grades 3 and 4 will have increased access to devices next year. And then grades 10 and 2 will have increased access to iPads within the district. So as our 8th graders are filtering out, those Chromebooks will be brought down to the 4th grade level. So 4th graders, while they won't be taking Chromebooks home, they will have access to a one-on-one device initiative. That then frees up the iPad devices that we have within full school. Of course, we aren't going to get rid of all of our iPads, because as you can see the video that Ms. Maytag and Ms. Bernard just presented, that's actually videotaped using the iPads that the students are then able to edit and program. So of course we won't get rid of all of our iPads, but we're going to filter a lot of the carts that we have here down into Bingham and Downing. So as those iPads either become ineffective, or we could also increase the number of iPads that teachers in the lower grades have within their classrooms. 3rd grade already has access to Chromebooks in their rooms. They will have more increased access to Chromebooks within their classes, so that way they can be used for small group and really getting students used to using a full computer, keyboard, functioning with the mouse, which is, of course, all fine motor skills that they're implementing. Continue collaboration with sending district for curriculum continuity. So working with Black Horse Pike, working with Gloucester Township, Belmar, to discuss where we are with curriculum, what we're doing, what our focuses are, seeing what they're doing, if there's any programs we can collaborate on. Example with Belmar, when we implemented Read 180 in the upper grades, Belmar was also implementing Read 180. So we did our professional development together. So it gives us a different perspective outside of Runnemede. Working with Black Horse Pike on what programs they're offering students at the freshman year and up. So that way we can also make sure that we're offering every possibility to our students moving forward. And then continue to work with others for shared service opportunities. Food service, we're currently working with Black Horse Pike, and we're currently seeing a profit from food service, which is extremely beneficial within the district. Transportation, we purchased a small bus to offset the cost of our displaced students who were obligated to transport. And in doing that, we're actually saving the district hundreds of dollars on a daily basis instead of going out for those services. We've found so much success with purchasing that bus and so much savings to the district that we're actually now looking at purchasing a regular bus, and that would offset our main run that comes to Bowles, Bingham, and Downing on a daily basis. So then we would no longer be paying the third source. That rate, we would actually be running it all within our own entity. And on top of that, we've also opened shared services because other districts we're now supporting in terms of transporting students that we might be able to, that they would otherwise go to an outside company for. We're actually able to bring that in under contract for us and actually turn a profit by helping them out through that shared service. Technology, we are currently working with Runnemede Borough in terms of a technology partnership, assisting them with technology supports as needed, and that's allowed us to increase our supports that we have in our school with the staffing that we have. And then of course, project management. So we just had all the roofing projects that were done, the windows and doors. That's through SJTP, which is Sterling High School. They run a project management company, but it's a shared service because of course it's a local school district and entity as we would be considered. With curriculum, something we're looking for next year is having a technology integration specialist. That's someone who would push into classrooms on a daily basis, Bingham, Downey, and Bowles, and assist teachers at integrating technology effectively within their classroom. Currently, for the past 2 years, 2 years ago was a Chromebook rollout. For the past 2 years, we've brought someone in from Stockton who's been in our district for about 45 to 60 days. She's done a fantastic job at helping us make sure that teachers are prepared with technology that we have available to them and making sure that they're integrating effectively. Moving forward, we're in a place now with the district where I feel like teachers are very empowered with the technology that they have, and they're actually assisting each other, and they're actually offering to present at professional development days that we have on technology things that they're using within their classrooms. So we've really gone in an extremely positive direction. That being said, this would increase that person to being a full-time employee. Instead of only having someone for 1/3 of the school year, we would have them for the entire school year. This person would also, you can see on the bottom, 80% would be Title II funding. Title II funding is professional development. It means that I have to use it. Since it's federal funding, we get audited on that, and they'll check to make sure that the person who's in that role is being utilized under those terms. So we never like to do 100% grant funding because you then have no leeway with that person. They can only do one thing and that's it. So you can see that we plan on using 80% of our Title II funds, which is how our integration specialist that we brought in was being paid, and then 20% would be paid out of the regular budget for that individual. So that's kind of like a 4-day, 1-day split that we're looking at. Gifted and Talented program for students in grades 3 to 8 utilizing Google Classroom. We currently, Gifted and Talented and Accelerated programs are currently integrated within the classroom through differentiation in small groups that teachers implement on a daily basis. That, of course, will still continue. One thing we are looking to do, and that we've seen other schools do successfully, is actually create a Gifted and Talented program where there would be a criteria in grades 3 through 8 for a small number of students to participate. One concern that we always have is students getting pulled from the classroom and wanting to make sure that they're there for the instructional time. So the students will probably participate through a Google Classroom setup, and they might have like weekly Gifted and Talented type assignments, accelerated assignments that they would be working on. And then the students would come together once a month in that group and actually present their projects and build on what they're learning and kind of develop it that way. So it's a step in a positive direction, we feel. Number 3, work with Black Horse Pike to discuss curriculum articulation and what other opportunities are presenting themselves for us to take advantage of as a district. And then finally, also looking at an intervention specialist at the middle level for literacy, grades 6 to 8. Currently, our language arts teachers are doing a great job in the middle school level. However, besides their classes that they're teaching, they also then push in during the times that they aren't teaching to assist with students who might need help in grades 6 to 8. In grades K to 5, we have someone who's solely dedicated. We actually have 3 staff members who are solely dedicated to providing that intervention, and we would like to see that intervention continue at the upper grades as well. Questions? I'll just keep stopping it. I'm just taking turn. Business shared services, transportation. As I mentioned, we utilize our buses to assist surrounding school districts with transportation as needed. We are looking to purchase a 54-passenger bus to operate our daily bus run. So we're not really concerned about like the small runs, like the trips, the basketball game, or the field hockey team. We're worried about our runs that are every single day. Our runs that we're paying a $90,000 voucher to on a yearly basis. Looking at a school bus, you're looking at anywhere between $75,000 to $85,000 to purchase the bus. That bus should last up to 15 years. And then the cost of a driver. So within 2 years of purchasing a school bus, if it's managed correctly, you've already made your money. And the district is now saving that daily increase that you're paying to an outside party. So in the business office, we've been working very hard on trying to make sure that everything is managed correctly with each of these areas. Food service, continue our shared service with Black Horse Pike for daily lunch programs. In 16-17, we will no longer need support from the budget to operate, which is fantastic. Usually we would take about $25,000 from the general budget to support food service starting off. And then as the months go on, November, December, January, as we bring money in, we pay that money back to the general budget. Next year, we don't need to borrow money anymore from the general budget to start off the program. So that's a huge thing for the district as a whole. Technology, work with the Borough of Runnemede to provide technology services. This allows us to go from 1.5 workers that we currently have in technology to 2 full-time workers who are working on the infrastructure, making sure that the networks are up, making sure that the wireless is working, making sure that programs are updated and running effectively. And then the other final thing we're looking at doing is a before and after school program. So currently we're using Just Kids. As a district, if we operate the program in-house for ourselves, it has to run as a business, just as food service, transportation, all these other areas do. Anything that we make needs to be put towards a before and after school program, which could then benefit summer programming for our students moving forward. And it could also open up opportunities as far as work related for our staff members who we have in district.
I have a question.
Sure.
Is that going to be like certified staff members or just anyone? Like that doesn't have to be a certified staff member for that.
No.
So that maybe could be an aide who just would want some extra hours or something like that.
Correct. The person would still have to go through all of our hiring processes.
Right.
In order to do that.
And is that still going to be a 7 a.m. start?
That's all, I mean, since we're running it internally,
We can do it different.
that all can be discussed.
Okay.
So what's in this-
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
What's in this budget? Increased technology throughout all grade levels of the district. Updates to school facilities, HVAC updates that we're doing, increasing HVAC repairs in different areas. We're looking at removing carpeting in hallways and classrooms. If you go through Runnemede, you'll see a lot of carpeting, especially Bingham and Downey. So looking at starting that process of, doing the asbestos abatement, putting down, tile or carpet tiles, which are more environmentally friendly within the areas. The purchase of a 54-passenger bus to transport students daily. We're looking to maintain and support advancements to the educational and extracurricular programs. Looking at Schedule B at the elementary level. Softball and baseball at the middle level, which we've started this year. A full-time technology specialist, this would replace an outside consultant. And a gifted and talented program to start in grades 3 through 8.
Question?
Yes.
On the facilities, are we looking at, whenever we're replacing light fixtures, like I read in your report for the past month, going to the LED, or is it so much more efficient, less to run?
We are looking at LED, we're also looking at other things that have been suggested previously. I know Mr. Hines has just put an order in, we're waiting for it to arrive, as far as the water bottle refilling stations.
Yes.
So that way, as things need to get updated, we're looking at replacing those. However, the one thing we would like to do though is see how they function and work, once we install them, and then look at, getting those in place.
That was a process, I will say that, because the one we have at Triton is outside my classroom, and there's always a caution wet floor sign there, but it still is well worth it. But you might have some trial and error there, because I had to be, but it is so worth it.
If it works that well, then I'd like to do all of them.
Right.
Which would
We
save us
would like that as well.
recycling and everything.
Financially, it's cheaper than buying bottled water, and also you don't have to worry about that you can cut back your cost of recycling or the disposal of the trash, which is the plastic bottles, so you're saving money there as well.
Any other questions? Okay, in terms of revenues, money that we have coming into the district will be staying at a 2% cap, which means that there's no need to put the budget out to a public vote. Anything above 2%, on a given year would have to go out to the public for vote. In 15-16, that was $6,897,852. A 2% increase brings it to $7,035,809. So that's $137,957 difference. One thing that I always like to point out when we look at the budget is that our budget is roughly about $13 million. So when you look at our local taxes that we bring in, that's about half of what we're bringing in. So when we look at a 2% cap, and then we look at flat funding at the state level, it averages out to be about a 1% increase of the total budget over the course of the year. So looking at increases in different areas, percentages increase, that's why we're always looking for revenue sources to be brought into the district, in terms of reducing the number of contracts we might have with food service, transportation, because then we're actually able to support our budget and make sure that we're providing as many programs as possible for our students without having to make cuts. Total revenues in 15-16, remember it was $14,805,661 due to the ROD grants. The ROD grants were the roofing, windows, and doors that were installed. In 16-17, it's $13,242,020. Local tax levy, as we said, the amount that's coming from taxes. And then what that comes out to be is about a $28 increase in taxes per $100,000 of assessed valuation of home. So if your home is valued at $100,000, that would be a $28 increase in school tax that you would see at the elementary level that you would be paying over the course of a year. The average home call in the borough is $147,264. That person would be paying $2,070.53 in elementary school taxes a year, which is a $41.23 increase in elementary school tax from what they were paying the year prior. And that's the last slide. Questions?
In this here, it didn't state some of the things we talked about last month, like some of the other upgrades. It just said carpet and things like that.
Those were the main large dollar amount upgrades.
Well, the main large Downing upgrade that I'm talking about is the outside area. That's still a plan?
In terms of,
No,
outside.
outside.
Well, that was an addition.
that would,
No,
No,
I'm
meaning
talking about the
play, like-
playground and
yes.
things.
that's something that we can add in through the maintenance areas that we have. We've already built into the budget. Because we already build in, under each school, what we already do is we build in a dollar amount. So when Frank comes to me and says, we need, and Frank comes to me all the time, we need to repair this, and this, and I have to say, okay, go ahead and do that. So those are the areas where that would come from.
Okay, so,
I
That's
guess
what
this
that was
isn't
happening.
being done, right?
As of right now, there's nothing set in stone that that's being done. It's making sure that we're doing the necessary upgrades needed.
okay, so
First.
that list that we said, like, that we talked about, all of that's not being done?
What do you mean all of that?
I'll find the list and come to you.
Okay.
Forget it, I'll come
That's
to you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you. At this time, we do have some correspondence. First and foremost, I would like to congratulate Patty Adair, who is going to be recognized May 3rd for becoming a certificated board member. So we will award you after that, but congratulations. Your dedication means a lot. I don't know how you ladies and gentlemen do it, but I know you're retired, but you know.
So we know how you do it, Jax.
And I also want to congratulate Naomi Davidson for being on the New Jersey School Board Association Finance Committee. Thank you for your dedication. Really. One day. So at this time we are open for public comments on agenda items only. The public is reminded that they should attempt to resolve problems and/or complaints through initial contact with a staff member or members involved therein and the chief school administrator prior to petitioning the Board of Education. Complaints should only be brought to the board after the appropriate school staff has had a reasonable opportunity to resolve the problem at the employee level. Statements should be limited to topics addressed on the published agenda, which if you don't have is up front, and in 3 minutes in length. The board president will recognize those individuals in the audience who wish to comment on any action items on this agenda only at this time. Please respect the following procedures. Be recognized by the board president, state your full name and address, identify the resolution or item number which you wish to comment, wait to be recognized before you make your comment, limit your comment to the specific resolution or items, and limit your comments to 3 minutes per person. So at this time, does anybody have any public comment on agenda items tonight? No? All right, then we will move along. Do you have anything besides budget, Dr. McCarron?
I do not.
All right, superintendent's report.
Well, I'm talking about a couple of things, I just want to pass you a draft, the calendar, that talk about public learning curriculum. So while I'm going over my report quickly, if you want to take a look at that, try not to make any drastic changes to it, but there are a couple of changes. I've taken feedback from board members, staff members, administrative members. There's some groaning already. So,
Every time you choose to schedule, there's a vote.
so while you're taking a look at that, I'm just going to mention a couple of things that happened recently. As Dr. McCarron mentioned in his report, we did have the CUSAC review last week on the 8th and 9th. Just a couple of things the county does come in and look at. A tour of all 3 buildings. They take a look at personnel, instruction and programs, operations, fiscal management, and governance. This review takes place in 3 phases. The first, the district does a self-evaluation that we completed before they came out. The county superintendent comes out and verifies those findings and recommendations. That's part of the CUSAC process. Now, that takes several months, if not longer, and they refer that stuff up to the State Commissioner of Education for approval. We hope to get those results within the year, and we hope to have a passing score. Again, initial feedback received from the county from the last time they heard from CUSAC was very positive. They really didn't have too much to make as far as recommendations. A couple of things they did recommend to how we can enhance our the way we take minutes for the board agenda. A couple of things we talked about. Curriculum instruction.
Looking at, while we have technology integration throughout, looking at our curriculum and making sure that we identify what technology projects directly are implemented in each content area and grade level at a given moment.
So we're making those updates as well. Again, it was a positive visit. We went to all 3 buildings. So I thank all the support staff as well as the teachers and the administrators for being accommodating. They hit a lot of classrooms over the course of the visit. What the feedback was from the staff, it seemed good. We did have a teacher panel that they interviewed as well for about an hour one day. They also had a chance to speak to Mr. Buckheim. As a board member, we had to somebody represent the board for the Q&A process. So I think it went well. So hopefully the next couple of months we'll receive that feedback. Mr. Buckheim, I don't know if you have anything to share about the process.
No, it was, I thought they were very open-minded with the questions. And I think I spent about a half an hour with them, and it was very productive, and I think they walked away feeling that our staff's doing a great job, and the board does a good job as well.
Well, thank you for sacrificing the time that day for coming out. As far as roundtable, the main thing we pulled out was park testing dates available, April 4th through May 3rd. Student activities, I want to thank Dr. McCarron, Mrs. Mark, and Mrs. Wilson for doing a wonderful job last week. We hosted the 8th grade Camden County School Board's 8th grade dialogue, where Gianna Maldonado was our 8th grade representative, picked by the 8th grade teaching staff. She did a wonderful job, as well as other students from the county in that Q&A session. A lot of positive feedback from the main person from the school boards for us hosting the job we did. So we were happy to have that event. I thank the board members. Mrs. Panzarella was there, Mr. Buckheim, everybody else who turned out. So it was a nice event. And last night they did host a sports award for fall and winter sports last night. Thank Mr. Silva for taking that undertaking. A lot of positive feedback. Tomorrow we start tryouts for baseball and softball. We're going to use the RYA fields just for both sports tomorrow, softball and baseball, because I think the softball's up with some people down there. We're going to meet with them Thursday night to go over some specs on what we can use. But right now we can use the RYA field for part of the softball tryouts. So I will be down there for batting practice if you want to bring the ice pack after it. But we look forward to that. So I'll get you a schedule when we finalize it. I'll hopefully come up with a game. So we're excited. I know the kids are really excited about the opportunity. So we're excited for that. And questions, calendar-wise. So I will take questions, and you let me know where we're at.
Well, one, I wanted to know if the REA saw this, but I just got confirmation.
Yes.
And so, I have two questions.
Sure.
The 23rd and the 23rd, they're half days.
Yes.
Why? I know they are. I'm asking why.
Again, we try to take input not only from our staff members, but I look at other calendars, Black Horse Pike being one of them. We try to line things
We
up
have
with
them
that.
both there?
Yes, you do.
It's in your contract.
Wasn't always.
I know the one before Thanksgiving is in the contract for the union, so we get a half day before Thanksgiving.
So that's why that is. January 2nd.
And I thought that we had, I thought you said there was an issue with not having enough time for conferences in the spring with only having 2 days. Yes, no? Isn't that what you told me?
Well, we offered the parents, one of the questions we brought from the board last year was whether or not parents were having the opportunity to have a conference. So in the spring this year, parents were given the choice. They were given the option. They'd like to attend a spring conference or not.
Okay.
It was mixed reviews from what we got back. Some parents, I know I talked to Ms. Hull today, as a matter of fact, she let me know some of the parents she wish would have came, declined that conference opportunity. So that's why we left it 2 days, 1 evening, and then 1 half day
Okay.
for the kids.
We had, we got 50% of the from Bingham County parents attend. I mean, some
The
just said
second one.
we don't need, it's not that they didn't show. I mean, based on the sign-in sheets, it was about 54% of all parents attended the spring conference. Typically in the fall, it's closer to 90%. So
And that's why, and again, some school districts have done away with the spring conferences in general, where they no longer have that. They just have the one conference time at some point during the school.
I just ask about half days because I just feel like it's a burden to our working parents here in town. So that's I have a problem with like half days
And
just
we take that
because.
into consideration. I think since we've taken over about a little over 3 years ago, we had roughly 17 half days. We're down to about 10 or 11.
Yes,
So
I
maybe
remember.
half a dozen half days.
I do remember that conversation.
I just wish
The problem-
31st was in effect.
We understand.
Stop it with your half days just because. We disagree on that all the time.
We understand like the needs of the community. We also have to keep in mind that, we do have to fit in things throughout the school year. We have to fit in professional development opportunities. We have to fit in the conference time. So we have enough time to see those parents. You have to have some days off. You have to have some kind of half day. I'm a parent. I have 2 young kids. I'm inconvenienced just like everybody else is when, my kids have a half day or a day off that doesn't line up. I understand that. we try to take people into consideration for that. We looked at last year, we did the half-days for conferences, right at the end of October, when it kind of fell in that middle period. Why don't we have a conference time in the middle of progress report time, instead of waiting till the end of the first marking period, when it's too late for a student to improve? This year, that would fall roughly in that first week in November range. So we were trying to look at continuity. I understand that October 31st is a very important day for people in the community. So that day is almost trying to get students engaged that day. So not to say that that's a lost day, because education does take place, but it might not get as much as other days. So if we were to do conferences that same week, of that first week in November, that's kind of an unproductive week we looked at. So we looked at what's another week we could look to get that in. Teacher conference week is another opportunity. It's a shortened week, it's always an abbreviated week. So we said, well, should we take the opportunity to do possibly 3 half-days there for conferences? And then teachers would go, and students would go right into the teachers' convention. That was some of the justification for that. We also last year we did, this current year we did a day off for the students, where teachers came back 12:30 to 7:30. While that was wonderful, we also lost an opportunity for professional development for those days. One of the things in the feedback form we got from the surveys from teachers, not enough professional development. You know, and one of the things we talk about as important collectively is you talk about getting the best for staff and our benefit the students. So we're trying to accommodate everybody's concerns. It's not an easy task, but this is a calendar we think is just. We also don't want to end the school year too early. You don't want that regression happening where your kids are getting out June 6th or 7th, and they're not starting again until after Labor Day, and you're home for over 3 months. You look at regression, that's a problem. You don't want to be out.
When did we do the conferences this past year?
The last week in October, I believe it was.
Yeah, it was the last week in October.
The 28th, the 29th, and 30th?
Because it was a school board convention.
Yes, that's right.
It was that week.
It was?
Yes, because I had to come home for,
And what's the school board later this year?
No, it's not. It's, I believe it's the 26th.
it's always the 26th.
It's always the last week in
Always
October.
last week in October.
But we started a little bit earlier with students. We started before Labor Day last year. This year we start
After Labor Day.
after Labor Day.
So this is one.
The 10th and 11th is a teachers' convention.
Yeah, there was a.
No, we had school board's convention during the last,
The last week in October.
So I just asked, I'm gonna move along, I'm sorry, do you have anything else? This is an item to be voted on, I just didn't know if everyone had enough time, because this is, the first time that we saw, if we wanna approve it, we can approve it, if we wanna table it, we can. Does anybody have any issues or concerns, or? Nice try.
I don't know that I'm actually all right though with that whole week of the 7th to the 11th being the wash.
That makes the most sense, don't you think? And from an educator's standpoint, that makes the most
Yes.
sense. Yes,
I was looking at it
absolutely.
from a parental perspective, that they're back in school for 5 days and then you need a whole nother, then you've got them out for another 7. Well, they're back in school for 5
Well,
days.
they're still here.
But it's
They're still here
always,
Monday,
November's
Tuesday, and
always
Wednesday.
like that regardless.
It's half days Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Okay.
it just allows you to have more full weeks versus
Half
breaking
days
it
this
up.
week, off next week.
Yeah, you were growling.
When is our first state testing, what is the dates of the first testing that we need to prepare?
This year?
Yes.
April
We're coming.
April.
Calendar.
It's in the spring.
It's in the
April,
spring.
You're talking about the park.
April.
Yes.
However, we're given 4 to 5 weeks
April.
to administer
We have
the
a
state
window now.
test. A lot of school districts need that due to lack of technology. We're fortunate in that area, so usually we'll end up completing everything we need for grade level within 1 week, and the entire district within 2. Just because we don't want to,
Yes.
April into May.
May looks like the fullest month of school days.
Yeah.
It's always a long month.
Well, that's the hard
So is
one.
that driving one?
Any other questions or concerns? Because I'd rather you get them out now so we can keep it on the agenda. Yeah, it is late.
Really?
Just October 31st.
Thank you for your comment, we'll take it under consideration.
I'd like to see us vote on it today.
Okay, great. So the nurses report, fire and security drill reports, building and grounds reports, special education reports are all enclosed. Did anyone have any questions? Principals reports, everyone's good? All right. PTA report, anything?
The basket auction.
Is April 29th.
29, looking for donations, classroom list, teachers picked their themes, so they should have their anybody requested letters, we gave them, so if you haven't got the letter, they have it. Today I met with the student council, they're gonna be getting more involved because Mr. Keely's been meeting with them, and they have a lot of things that they wanna do within the school. So we asked them to help the teacher be in charge of their classroom. They had a lot of good ideas about putting the jar, that's their idea, whatever they wanna do to help with their theme, that's up to them. They're gonna work hand in hand with the teachers. They asked me for a list. They asked me to give them a list of what the money's used for, so that they can tell the kids, because I was giving them different ideas of what we, use the money for. And they said, well, could you give us that list so that we can tell the kids in our homeroom, so they know why, and maybe that would help them. So then next year, something they had mentioned is maybe they could, along with their teacher, pick a team with their class to say to the class, what's your idea, what do you want to do, what will be fun for us to do. So we're trying to get them more involved, because I know Mr. Keely and Mr. Silva did that this year. We're trying to get them more involved. So if you know anybody has things that they want to donate, just tell them to give us a call, we'll pick it up, drop it off. Not to make a basket, they're cleaning the house, and they're, have things that they want to get rid of that are in good shape, haven't been used. A lot of spring clean will be going on over the holiday, and so just tell them to send it in. We can use anything. We get a lot of different things, and we make as many, we put them together and make nice theme baskets.
What's the deadline on submitting items to you to put into a basket? When would you like them by?
Well, we did the request on some of the letters, if it wasn't anything with food in it, before the holiday, so we could get some done. If it, after the holiday, but we're hoping by April 13th to have everything here, so
And we could drop off of Old School?
you can drop off anything here.
Do you have an idea for us?
Should we have an idea?
Do you? I remember I asked Lee, you had left. Do you have an idea for us? Think about that for us, okay? Like last year we did the grill and things, if you could let us know, because, it's easy for me to be like, hey Chaz, come on, but if you have an idea for us, then we know what we're chipping in for.
All right.
Think of something for us, please, something, like along the lines of last year.
Yep.
Thank you. Anything else? Camden County Ed Services, Progress, New Jersey School Board Association.
We'll be meeting May 14th, and I'll be attending that. I haven't gotten any copy of any resolutions that have been submitted, but I don't usually get them until about 2 weeks to 10 days prior to them going up there, but I'll keep everyone posted.
Thank you. Black Horse Pike Regional.
We just did our preliminary budget, it's at negative 44, so we'll kind of go with yours,
Offset.
and we'll offset yours.
Just how wonderful is that?
And that, we were happy to put it out this.
First year for everything. Thanks, Dr.
Thank
Karen,
you.
I think you might have something.
Negotiations,
Just saying.
Progress, we're meeting again tomorrow evening.
okay.
Fall now.
Tonight, to start off our, our committees, the Missy, Patty, Marie and I met, we are the personnel committee, and just real quickly, we talked about staffing and opening positions, how things are done, because some board members seem to be confused on that, how staff is evaluated, job descriptions and how they're updated, on a regular basis, recommendations and things for the 16-17 school year. We didn't get into any specifics, just, since it was our first committee meeting and some members have never met in a committee like that, and we talked about stipends and some different things, so we'll be meeting again shortly. But I just wanted to let you guys know that we did meet. If you have any specific questions, you can ask me. So I believe that's it for reports. We'll move along to the new business. So at this time, I need a motion to approve items number 1 through 3 under property and transportation.
I make a motion to approve items 1 through 3 under property and transportation.
Second?
Let me, motion made by Maria, seconded by Naomi. Roll call.
Ms. Adair?
Yes.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Beebe?
Yes.
Mr. Buckheim?
Yes.
Ms. Davidson?
Yes.
Ms. Barry?
Yes.
Ms. Panzarella?
Yes.
Ms. Spalding?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Under personnel, I need a motion to approve items number 1 through 5.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion made by Chaz, seconded by Maria. Just very quickly, you'll see that we have a head coach for softball and an assistant coach for softball. The reason why number 5 is not listed as, is because he wished to volunteer. Just so you know, okay?
That's like, that's the blast from the past,
Right.
coming out loving.
Any questions there? Did you ladies hear what I said?
Yes.
Number 5 is not listed with a stipend amount because he wished to volunteer. That's why there's not assistant for both. Roll call.
Ms. Adair?
Yes.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Beebe?
Yes.
Mr. Buckheim?
Yes.
Ms. Davidson?
Yes.
Ms. Farry?
Yes.
Ms. Panzarella?
Yes.
Ms. Spalding?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Under finance, I need a motion to approve items number 1 through 6.
I make a motion to approve items 1 through 6.
Second?
Motion made by Maria, seconded by Naomi. I have a question. Under professional development workshops, the Garden State Summit featuring Google for Education up at Georgian Court, there's a asterisk saying presenting, but no names are you both presenting?
We're both presenting on our Google Chromebook Summer Camp. So
That's
that's why
awesome.
there's also no fee for that workshop.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Roll call.
Ms. Adair?
Yes.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Beebe?
Yes.
Mr. Buckheim?
Yes.
Ms. Davidson?
Yes, but I do have a question. I have a question about number 6 and addendum.
Looking at our long-range facility plan, something that is not included is purchasing of property. So when we have reserve accounts, it's for damage, it's for issues that take place, it's for large projects that might come up. Adding that into our long-range facility plan, when you look at the long-range facility plan, it's updated every 5 years. The long-range facility plan pretty much is done by the Department of Education. The last time we updated it was 2011. 5 years is coming up. So next year, the DOE is supposed to be coming out with online software, because before it was not online. Adding this into our long-range facility plan allows us that option if we had to rebuild the facility or build a facility on land, that we would be able to do that within the budget. So do you remember a while back when we were able to start the ROD grants in the spring?
Yes.
And we were like, let's do this, like, you know, we've secured our funding, we're good for everything. We were told, you can't even touch that until you approve your next year's budget, and you can't touch anything until July 1. So that was not a part of our long-range facility plan in that moment, which is why we were unable to touch that as a school district. Because while we have some leeway, we're really restricted in terms of what we're able to do based on our approved publicly advertised budget, unless it's actually written in. So that allows us to have that as an option within the long-range facility plan.
So it gives us an option, not necessarily locking us into purchasing,
Oh,
just.
no, yeah.
So just, it gives us like an umbrella in case we want
Correct.
to pursue that.
We would then have that as an option to pursue, and we would be able to discuss it in the present. We wouldn't have to wait for our budget year to complete and for July 1 to begin.
I think,
Yep.
as co-chairman of the ad hoc committee that was looking at this, we're taking this extremely slow. A lot of things have to be investigated, information has to come back to us before we even make the final decision on this. Right now, it's just looking at it, period.
Thank you.
Ms. Farry?
Sure.
Ms. Panzarella?
Yes.
And Ms. Spalding?
I'm sorry, yes.
Motion passes.
Well, yeah. I got confused there, sorry. Under curriculum, we are going to vote on number 1, so I need a motion to approve items number 1 through 3, please.
I make a motion to approve items 1 through 3.
Motion made by Maria,
I'll second it.
seconded by Angel. I just want to ask Mrs. Jesse to please thank, on behalf of the board, Ms. LaMonica and Ms. Duncan for thinking outside of the box and going on donors choose. I know some people don't like to ask for money, but others do.
We're not against it.
We're not against it. Some people are. others aren't, so,
Without mentioning any
Can I have
mistakes.
20 bucks?
we can't the money, we can roll call.
Ms. Adair,
Yes.
Ms. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Beebe,
Yes.
Mr. Buckheim.
Yes.
Ms. Davidson, Ms. Farry.
Yes.
Ms. Davidson, did you?
Yes.
Ms. Panzarella,
Yes.
Ms. Spalding.
Yes.
One thing I would like to add, for number 3, the approval of application submissions, there's 2 grants listed there that are currently being funded by the Department of Education. While we meet the initial criteria for it, as we go through the application process, there's many pieces that have to be involved as well. Your approval will allow us to complete the application and submit it once completed. Also, on the board member page, you're gonna see a new thing in the top right-hand corner that says grant opportunities. So as my office looks at different grant opportunities that are available within the state and Department of Education, we will list those opportunities, and we've also put down whether or not we're eligible. So you might see 5 opportunities currently listed. We're only eligible to actually apply for these 2, and then you'll see the reasons why we're not eligible to apply for the other ones based on the criteria within the grant.
Thank you, because I know that we asked you to look into those opportunities, so we appreciate your efforts. Thank you. Under policy and public relations, we have item number 1, policy and regulation for the first reading. We have some revised policies there and abolished. I need a motion.
I make a motion.
Motion made by Maria,
Second.
seconded by Chaz. Thank you.
This is the first reading, correct?
This is the first reading, so it looks like we have 1 abolished, 1 new, and the rest are being revised.
Okay.
Roll call.
Ms. Adair,
Yes.
Ms. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Beebe,
Yes.
Mr. Buckheim,
Yes.
Ms.
Yes.
Davidson,
Yes.
Ms. Farry,
Yes.
Ms. Panzarella,
Yes.
Ms. Spalding.
Yes.
Motion passes.
At this time, we are open for public comment on non-agenda items. The public is reminded that they should attempt to resolve problems and/or complaints through initial contact with staff member or members involved therein and the chief school administrator prior to petitioning the Board of Education. Complaints should only be brought to the board after the appropriate school staff has had reasonable opportunity to resolve the problem at the employee level. Statements should be limited in length to 3 minutes. The public is reminded that all public complaints against a district employee must be made through a specific grievance process. A description of this process may be found in Board of Ed Policy, File Code 0167. This policy is available upon request in the office of the board secretary. Any individual naming an employee or a student in a complaint before the Board of Education without the employee or student's permission could be cited for violating that employee or student's civil and contractual rights. So at this time, we are open for public comment on any item. Yes, please state your name and address, please.
Rochelle Saparo, 803 Crescent Avenue.
Got it.
I'm here tonight to discuss concerns of a child in 8th grade that has us parents concerned, and honestly always has, but it seems as though things are getting worse. And this child's actions are constantly swept under the rug. We send our kids here every day with hoping that they're safe, and honestly, there's always that feeling of what's going to happen today. Is the child going to snap? It's just a matter of time, we feel. This child disrupts so much class time for our children that screaming outbursts, inappropriate comments, trying to bite ankles in classroom, bouncing basketballs, threats to another child of jumping them after school, and then running out of school, leaving the school grounds. Our children are uneasy. These other children see these situations as being handled as this child has privileges of being allowed to leave the classroom whenever he feels annoyed, so he gets to go to the gym and he gets to shoot hoops. In turn, interrupting other gym time classes because he's not done is that it's expressed by younger classmates that we talked to. But we're told that this doesn't happen. So does that mean that a number of these students are lying as they come home to us and tell us? This child continues to harass other children by name calling, physically slapping kids in the face just because this child feels like it. And let's not forget the huge lack of respect for anyone, adults, teachers, students. this child for years has issues, has caused issues. Somehow this child is still allowed to act like this with consequences that don't deter this child's actions. As a parent, and some of the students feel this way, they don't say anything because nothing's gonna happen. I know I tell my children to try and ignore it, walk away, but if this child feels like bothering them, this child does. And again, where's my child's rights? It has gotten to the point where I tell my children, and at a point they feel threatened, you ought to defend yourself. And as me as a parent, it's disappointing because I try to raise my children to be better than that. So after speaking with administration, I got, every child is entitled to a free education. Okay, but what about our kids' education and safety? I'm being told that things are in place, being handled. What do you want me to do? And my personal favorite that I was told was, Mr. Perro, it is what it is. Maybe that's why more parents and children don't speak up, because of big comments like that. So according to your school policies, disruptive pupils, the purpose of this policy for disruptive pupil means that pupils who have difficulty establishing good relationships with peers and adult authority figures who exhibit a pattern of conduct which is defiance of school rules or regulations and which hinders academic success for other pupils as well as for himself or herself. And then your harassment policy as well. As a safe and civil environment in school, it is necessary for children to learn and achieve high academic standards. Harassment and intimidation or bullying, like other disruptive or violent behaviors, is conduct that is disruptive to students' ability to learn and schools' ability to educate the students in a safe, disciplined environment. Several of us parents and schools feel it's a matter before this child snaps, and I can't say that the warning signs haven't been there. There's been chairs thrown, jumping on desks, and a bunch of the other things that I mentioned. It's not fair that the other kids, our kids, that do follow the rules and have uneasy feelings when the child is around, but it doesn't seem like their feelings mean anything or their education that they're entitled to. This child does affect our children in many ways. So my question to the board is, have you been notified of this child and the day-to-day issues? And since the consequences don't deter this child's actions, or are we just waiting for the 4 months to be done so we can wash our hands and say it's not our problem anymore?
Well, first of all, thank you for your comment, thank you for coming out tonight. As a Board of Education, we are not specifically, that is not our job to deal with student discipline. We are here to make policies, like the policies that you stated, and to oversee the chief school administrator. So no, we do not know on a daily basis, like when there's disruptions. We do not know when we get like a number, like so student 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 has been suspended. Student 7, 8, 9, 1, 0 has been suspended. So we never get like specific reports on any type of students. So does that answer your question?
Okay.
We don't, that's not our job, that's the administration's job to deal with discipline. We don't deal with discipline unless it comes to the point where we need to make a decision to possibly, like we would make a decision to possibly send the child out. We would approve it, you know, because we'd have to approve the monetary issue there. But on a day-to-day basis, no, that's not our job. That would actually, we'd be micromanaging and we would be violating our ethics as board members. We can't do that. We can't get involved in that.
Okay, but I'm sure as a board that this number has probably been across. And Mr. I know he, you know, I've discussed things with him. So with all of these, you have to make this decision, when is enough is enough? Like, where do you draw that line? Where are children's safety?
I understand your concern. This is what it would be done. The principal and the superintendent and then other administrators would have to recommend to us that that be done, and that has not been the recommendation to date.
Okay, so that's back on the superintendent, principal. Okay, so all of our
Am I saying
complaints,
anything that's
so then all
false?
of our complaints that we have, because I know there's plenty of us parents that have been calling, they basically stop there, so they are being swept under the rug.
Well,
Can I just speak?
Yeah.
You know, anytime we have a student concern, it's, you know, this board is made aware of, over the past 3.5 years since I've been here. We can't talk specifically about students.
Right.
It's a violation of their rights, so we're not gonna do that right now. But I don't think the board's unaware of any incidents, nothing's being swept under the rug, so to speak. Kind of personally take offense to that comment, because.
I took
again,
offense to the comments, it is what it is.
and I told you that, and we've discussed that, and I discussed that with the employee, so poor choice of words, and I apologize for that on behalf of that employee. However, as a parent myself, and I try to show empathy to all the students in this building, I would never allow a student in this building who I thought we weren't taken care of, okay? And we didn't put things into place where other students' safety was in jeopardy consistently. Now, I understand from your point of view, and you and I had a conversation, and for a couple of years you told me everything was going well, and then, you know, you told me the past couple of weeks or months have been a little more difficult. You know, but to say we were just sweeping things under the rug and we're not handling it, some of the things you mentioned there, you know, biting of ankles, I mean, that's unwarranted. I mean, that's, you know, we
Now,
have
this
things
is
in
a
place.
child that came home and told their parent, and their parent in turn called the school. And then they were told, basically, your child, how, when you're having several children say the same thing, how are they all lying?
Well, I'm
And
not
at
saying they're
this
lying,
point in
but
stage-
when I have people in place that are in charge of specifically to monitor students or a class, and they can't verify it, and then, you know, working in schools for over 22, I understand students, do you know what happened here? Do you know, oh, this happened to so-and-so. I'm not saying anybody's lying, but I always tell, like I tell, there's three sides to every story. You know what I mean? There's your version, this version, and the version that possibly happened. So I'm not saying anybody's lying, I'm just saying that I find it hard to believe that somebody, ankles were bitten, and a vice principal wasn't told, a principal wasn't told, a teacher wasn't told, a paraprofessional wasn't told. I mean, we have 2, 3 adults in some of these classrooms, so it's difficult for me, and again, to accept some of those things that we're just sweeping things under the rug, or we're waiting out 4 months, or we're doing something like that. Like I take, you know.
But you're aware of a lot of these situations that happen. Some of them are pretty, you know, I would think are for safety wise for some of these kids, our children,
Absolutely.
that, well,
And if things have happened in the
why
past.
are not things,
well,
because it's
well,
obvious
stu-
that
but
there's
students
other
are
help
students
that's
are
needed.
disciplined for their incidents, and I told you over the phone, I can't tell you what the discipline was. And what the disciplines
Right.
might be for one student, it might be different
But it
depending on.
doesn't seem to matter. It doesn't seem to matter what you guys seem to put in place, it doesn't seem to matter, because it hasn't stopped. It just hasn't stopped.
And again, that's feedback you're receiving from, you know.
It's my feedback, this is
I
my
understand.
opinion, I mean, you know.
And I understand that, but I'm just telling you, as a superintendent, I wouldn't allow a student in the buildings if I felt that, you know, like you're waiting for something, you know, which.
For this child to snap, yes.
Yeah.
He's not a freaking psychopath.
I don't, you know, I don't feel it's.
He's famous. Thanks for making him famous. You're welcome.
And you know what, you should try and get accurate information before you come to a school board meeting and speak so freely. You don't, all of what you said there is not accurate.
It is.
It's bits and pieces of accuracy, but it's not accurate. Not accurate at all. And you know what, if you want to do something about my son going out of this school, talk to me. They're not,
You're not gonna do anything
We
anyway.
can't.
Yourself.
You're right. He's entitled to be here and he's gonna stay here.
Okay.
Unless they deem that he needs to
And we
leave.
see where
Not
the child
because you
gets.
do it.
No, it's-
Well, actually, you know,
You know what, I have as much right to speak here as you do. Oh, Danielle Cole, I have at times done something to one of your kids, but your kids ain't perfect.
No,
Nobody's
they
kids are
weren't.
perfect, but he's hardly a psychopath that needs to be evaluated for freaking
we
safety.
need to end our meeting here, so, I wanna thank you for the, your comment. Excuse me?
No, my, forgot his name.
No, absolutely not. No, absolutely not. You were very professional. We thank you for your comment and your concerns, and we will be sure that we continue on a daily basis to talk to our administrative team and make sure everything's doing for your children's safety, because everyone's safety here is our top priority. Thank you for coming. You're more than welcome to come anytime you want.
Mrs. Sparrow, I thank you personally for keeping your cool. Just because
Does anyone else have any public comment?
I do, I just want to say thank you to everybody.
All right, if there's no other public comment, then we need to be reminded that the curriculum committee, which is Chaz, Joe, Amy, and Missy, MYSSEE, We'll meet at 6 PM on April 27th, and the regular Board of Ed meeting, which is our public hearing of the budget, is April 27th at 7 PM. And another FYI I just got is the caucus meeting on the 22nd, which is Tuesday, the Borough Caucus meeting. The Borough Council meeting, which is on April 5th at 7 PM. On Wednesday, the 13th, is the Planning Zoning meeting. And the 26th at 6 PM is another caucus meeting. Oh, that's for April,
Next month.
that's for April, that's for next month. So if anyone can attend that, please let us know.
I go to that.
I need a motion to
I
adjourn.
make a motion to adjourn.
Motion made by Maria, seconded by Patty. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.